Hello, and welcome to another episode of Open Studio. I'm your host, Martina Flor, and in this show, I have honest conversations with artists, designers, and creatives to uncover their paths and discuss the specific tactics they use to overcome challenges and succeed on their own terms. Today, I'll be having a conversation with Rafa Goicochea, one of the founders of 36 Days of Type. 36 Days of Type is a project that happens primarily on Instagram and is a global open call that invites designers, illustrators, and graphic artists to create their visual interpretation of the letters and numbers of the Latin alphabet. The project explores the creative boundaries of letter forms, and participants are challenged to design a letter or number each day for 36 consecutive days. The outcome is people from all over the world creating and sharing thousands of letter forms on social media at the same time. The project is so successful and widely spread that you surely heard of it or know someone who participated yourself. Besides running this side project since 2014, Rafa, together with Nina, who shows up shortly at the end of this episode, also ran a design studio called 33, which means 36 in English. During the show, Rafa spoke about the beginnings of the project and how it went from being just a few friends drawing letters and sharing them on Instagram to becoming a global phenomenon, with more than 4,000 people taking part from all over the world on each edition. Rafa told us what made the project go viral and the backstage of managing each edition. He also shared a few golden keys to creating community, engaging people, and even getting them to contribute for free. If you're thinking of starting a side project, this episode will give you insights on how to start, grow, and monetize it. Enjoy this conversation with Rafa from 36 Days of Type. So, hi, Rafa. Thank you so much for being on the show. How are you doing today?
Hi, Martina. I'm fine. I'm a little bit overwhelming with a lot of things. Yeah, the project is running right now, and it's a lot of hours daily, and a lot of things on the studio. Nina actually is trying to handle everything, so it won't be with us today. But I'm fine. I'm good. I'm healthy.
Great. Yeah, so the project that Rafa is talking about is 36 Days of Type. Rafa is the founder of this project, and the project is happening right now. And I think it's the ninth edition of the program, right?
Yeah, the ninth edition.
Of the project, sorry.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, just for those that don't know about 36 Days of Type, they can just go on Instagram and they will find out. But for those that are listening and don't know about it, then perhaps you can explain a little bit about what it is.
Well, the project it's like a global open call to celebrate typography and for anyone who is interested in working with typography, but maybe in a more creative way. There are 36 days in the year that this open call happens, and in those days, every artist, designer, anyone with interest in typography is invited to share. In this case, is a project that works on Instagram mainly, and everyone is invited to share each of the letters of the alphabet. Their own take on the letters and numbers of the alphabet. So it's 36 days because it's actually from the A to Z and from 0 to 9. That's why it's called 36 Days of Type. And that's that. One of the main things in each edition is a calendar, because that's the only way that people could know when the A it's happening, when the B and once a year we launch those dates that are like super secret, and everyone it's when it started because it hasn't a fixed date in the year. It's always around February to April, and basically that calendar works like a guide to share your works and just using a hashtag for each day and a hashtag for the project, you can get your work inside the project, no? And it's like a collective act of creating letters. And the interesting thing is that they come letters from all over the world with very different styles, not only lettering but also pure plain typography and illustration, hand drawn, photography, 3D, or a lot of motion graphics. So
Yeah, I think that's pretty amazing how that, there's not only type freaks or type aficionados that are taking part in this challenge, and there's people that do animation and they use this as an excuse to create letters, and they just join from a lot of different disciplines, right? And what I also find really interesting is how widely spread it has become, because I've been, especially in the last couple of years, I've been noticing that really, like, during that month where the project is open, or this, as you said, this global open call is open, my Instagram feed is flooded with letters. Of course, I follow a lot of people that are in my same discipline and people that are doing lettering or type design or all of the things. But doing my research for this episode, I was also like kind of Googling 36 days of type. And what I found really interesting is that there's a lot of people that do other unrelated things. Like, for instance, they do 3D modeling or they do animation, and they have a specific project on their website that showcases the letters they did for the 36 days of type. So I find it really amazing how it gathers people from a lot of different places. But before we dive into all of the things I have to discuss with you today, tell me a little bit of how did the project started? What was the first seed of the project?
Okay.
How was that first meeting?
How we've got to this very big community of people making letters. It was like very. We didn't thought about making a global project that gathers people from a lot of disciplines and a lot of countries, but it all started like a personal project. Actually, it was back in 2014. I said. And back then maybe it was like it was not a big crisis, but economically here in Spain it was not the best of the years. And well, I was working in a studio and Nina was working at a bar, and like we somehow we were like stuck a little bit on our work, and well, we wanted to design more, to try new things. And Nina started a personal project that wasn't related to typography, but she started like to make a daily design exercise. It was and she shared it in Tumblr. Maybe people don't know, but it still exists. But that was even before Instagram was used for showcase work, because Instagram back then maybe it was only used as a photo diary. And
Tumblr was more like a blog social network, or a social network of bloggers,
there was
right?
a lot of graphic design there. And she started that project. It was called Daily Triangle. And she worked with, because she was like obsessed back then with the form, that shape, and she worked with her photos and graphic design, and the shape of the triangle was like the the conductor of everything. And she started that, and I was like, because we are a couple and we are actually together most of the time. And
just to give you a little bit of context, so Nina is the other founder of 36 Days of Type, and also Nina and Rafa run a design studio together. So just to give you a little bit of context of who Nina is.
The studio is it's called 36, that it's actually 36 in Spanish, but it's like 36 all together. It's number 36, and yeah, that went after the project. But yeah, I was talking about how it started, no? And
Yeah.
then yeah, that this project that Nina had, and I became jealous. I want to do something similar because it was like fun to make something daily or at least weekly. I don't know, I had studied typography here in Barcelona, and but it was like about type design and calligraphy, but mostly I focused on making a typeface, no, and I wanted to test more things, like more creative or more experimental stuff, and I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna do the same that you're doing, but then only focusing on the letters, and when they started, but just like a
So it was
personal
a
exercise.
Tumblr, it was initially a
No,
Tumblr blog. Or
no, this my idea of making it about letters was in Instagram, because back then we start noticing that Instagram started. Some people had started to share like more like personal work. It was like, yeah, they shared photos, but people were starting to share some personal designs, like personal explorations, and I thought, okay, Instagram is the place and when I'm gonna share this, and I started like, okay, I'm gonna design the A, and yeah, and then I got to the set and I said, okay, let's do the numbers, and I got a very nice feedback from the few followers I had back then, and yeah, it was
did it initially had this idea of like one letter a day and for 36 days, or you
no,
were
it
like
was
just
like improvisation. It's
yeah.
like it was like, okay, I'm gonna make one letter a day,
Yeah.
but it was not meant to be the numbers next, and somehow I did those 36 days alone, and I
Yeah.
got like a super nice feedback, and even a friend of us, it's called Victor Bregante, that is also lettering artist and graphic designer from Sitges, that it's here in the seaside close to Barcelona, actually suggested that that he really liked the idea, and why don't we could like make something like a battle. I like, okay, I make the A, you make the B, and well, he suggested like to yeah, to collaborate somehow in the project, and well, that got was maybe the first the seed that put our friend to make something that involves more people, not only us, and also the name and the thing of the 36 days, actually, because the project I did appeared on a blog here in Spain, and it said, the title, it reads Los 36 días de Rafa Goicoechea. That's the 36 days of Rafa Goicoechea. And it talked about that exercise I made alone, and that article and that idea was like the first thing we thought, okay, this idea is interesting, because there's a lot of people sharing their personal work, their personal expression, but they are alone sharing their work, like
Yeah.
making their own personal exercises, their own personal projects, and we thought, okay, it will be nice to put everyone together and make the same exercise at once, and we start thinking of that. We start how we can make this, and we write like a manifesto. We contacted like our closest designer friends, and we shared the idea with them, and yeah, some ideas came then, like having guests every day, because if everyone doesn't know the project, each edition, the 36 days, each of the 36 days has a guest, an artist or a studio that is like invited to design this particular letter from, okay, we have 36 guests every edition. And yeah, that idea was at the very start, that suggested by one of the close contacts we had. And yeah, we it was launched like, okay, uh, okay, I was talking, yeah, this idea of the 36 guests started at the very start with well, those friends we contacted, and the starts with, well, and we put the ideas together, and yeah, the idea of having a calendar, like a visual calendar that could be used as a guide, so you can you know where it starts, where it ends, or if you want to hop on a letter, a particular letter, if you only like the B, you can do only the B, but you have to do it in this day. If
Just to understand, you actually started, so you started this personal project,
Yep.
right? And then at some point you realize, hey, like it seems that this is something interesting, or like the people seems to be interested in this. So you share this with friends, and then you started thinking, kind of giving this in a structure, right? So
Yep.
from the moment you started the project yourself, or you carried on the project throughout 36 days. How long did it take you to actually launch the project as a global project, or as an open call for other designers and creatives?
Okay, as I was saying before, it was like super improvised. And it was like, yeah, we contacted those close contact, and we say, okay, we want to launch this idea, and just let's see how it works and who gets into the train, and we said also, okay, you are inside, you are on board, and so we are
Yeah.
not like me, Nina, and my friend making letters.
Yeah.
We had like maybe 30 people contacted, and also we talked with some studios, mainly with studios from Barcelona, including like teachers I had from the MA in typography, like people we knew they were like into typography, or just into graphic design. And it was like three, and from the first idea to the launch, it was like 3 weeks or 1 month, like of talking,
Okay.
and we launched the idea. We opened the social profiles. We made a super simple website. Actually, it's still super simple website, because it's like a personal project. And well, we launched it like, okay, there are 15 days to the start. And when we launched the first manifesto, the website, we opened the profiles on Facebook, Instagram, and we just put it down there. And yeah, we, from the first day, even before the first before the first day of the project, it started to gather some attention, much more than we thought. And yeah, maybe it was like, before the start we had like 500 followers. It was like, okay, that's not bad, just for a start. And we
Yeah.
have only talked with 30 people. So yeah, the people was like interesting. The feedback was like super nice, and yeah, we
So
were.
from what I hear is it wasn't an instant hit, right? It was something gradual, or do you feel that when you launched the project,
Well,
it immediately picked up on people, and people started like getting involved,
yeah,
and
somehow it started like much better than we expected. It was not an actual instant boom, but yeah, the first day we had like three, 300 people taking part and sharing letters, and that was like, whoa, we thought we were 30, not
yeah.
300. And it
Yeah.
was like, it got bigger. And even I think after the first edition, we were like 10k followers. It was like, okay, this is something, okay. And well, and then it got to grow exponentially, the second, the third, and I don't know the numbers. We have like an Excel that we try to put some data on that because yeah.
So how many people are you having right now when like thinking of that first edition where 300 people took
Yeah.
part, whereas you thought there would be only 30 of you? How many people like after now 9 years of running the project?
Okay,
2014
14, and yeah,
to
there are
yeah, I'm
nine
doing
editions because
I'm
yeah,
doing the math here. Like
yeah.
2014 was
Was the
was the
first, yeah, 15
yes.
second, and today 2022 we are on the
Yeah.
ninth edition,
Yeah.
and yeah, right now we got like from 4,000 to 8,000 get people participating
Amazing.
each day, and it depends. Yeah, maybe the last edition was like the biggest in terms of participation, and it was like really difficult to manage. Actually, Instagram rules and Instagram policies are getting more strict, and we had some problems because each time the edition start, like there's a lot of people start following, start mentioning, and starting commenting, and all
Which kind
that.
of problems do you run into with
Yeah,
Instagram?
because yeah, you got it's like this is your growth, and then and
Yeah. Okay.
Instagram says you are using bots or you are using third parties or whatever, and we got like
That's
that's
interesting.
curious because we had 2 years back we had to stop the edition actually because Instagram blocked our account
No, oh
and we
my
had
God.
to stop everyone. Okay, Instagram has blocked our account, and we only could post stories, and we had to communicate everything through stories. We had to talk with all our guests, launch another calendar with 2 days crossed, and we were able to contact with someone actually working in Instagram, and it got the problem solved. But it was like maybe this edition is not gonna happen. Um, and
Oh
last
my
year
God. Well,
we
that's yeah, that's interesting because I think because of Instagram, I guess the project was had this exponential growth, right? It's a platform where everyone has access to. At the same time,
yeah
you grow in a platform where the platform doesn't belong to you, and any point they can
yeah
actually
yeah yeah
block you, right?
yeah
At
yeah
these
yeah
moments you realize like, hey, this could
yeah
this
this
could
could
be taken
happen.
away from
Yeah
me, right?
yeah 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 that's I think we think about, because yeah, a lot of people somehow they lost their account or they get blocked or hacked, and it's like okay,
Yeah.
this all this is only in Instagram, and we've tried to make things outside of Instagram, like well we've made an exhibition of the project. Actually, this poster in the back is an exhibition we did in 2017 here in Barcelona, um, because we have no time and no resources, but we wanted like to put all that work into value all that work and put it outside Instagram, and we worked on an exhibition almost for a year. It was like super exhausting, but we managed to make like a very big exhibition with it was 100 how it's I think it's here no one one 180 and 36 guests. It was like 200 artists in one exhibition. Like it was difficult to manage, and we
I want
worked.
to get into the side project, the side products of the 36 Days of Type
Yeah.
project. But before we get
Maybe.
into that,
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
wanted to ask you, why do you think, because I know that a lot of people that are listening, first they are thinking, we have a lot of listeners that are type aficionados or lettering artists or artists, and I bet they are thinking like, oh, why didn't I think I come up with this idea, right? And also wondering, I think, many of us create things with expectation that people will notice them at some point, right? And there's this kind of myth around social media where you believe that at some point you have the kind of like the possibility of going viral with your work, right? And have this instant success. And I wonder, when I look at a project like yours, which went viral, now talking to you, I realize you can see the things in perspective and realize that of course that takes time. It's not like an instant hit and suddenly you go from having 100 followers on Instagram to having 500,000, right? So it has been running for 8 years. But I really wonder, why do you think, like the question is actually, why do you think this project went viral? Why do you think that the people was really hooked by the project? What are the characteristics of this project that make it so attractive for people and that make them, invites them to continue just chiming in with their work in this project?
Yeah, sometimes I think when it started, it was like people, there were more aficionados, more amateur artists, and it was like I think the part of the success is because it was very open and very very simple, very simple briefing. It's like, okay, today is the A. You can do whatever you want. You don't need to be a designer. You don't need to be an artist. You can put some flowers you grab from the street and make an A. And it was like this openness. I think it really got a lot of people inside that, and also the thing of doing all at once, all together. And in the first edition, it was like more fresh in the sense that the people like was making actually the letters each day for the next day, and maybe today I have time, I'm going to make two because tomorrow or the weekend. And it was like you were like excited to share your letter and see what the others were doing, and there was a sense of community, a sense of I don't know, of brothership, I don't know, that was created because you start knowing other people's work, discovering artists, and you got hooked to the work that was made by others, and you it's only admiration or inspiration, or you are jealous and I want to be better. And it's like, because there's not a competition, but actually sometimes okay, look at my type, how is yours? And it was nice because we were ourselves, we also participated in the first editions when we could, because and sometimes it's like okay and I can't do any all. So I personally I've tried to take part in every edition. This year I've only made 3 letters.
So there's something about, as you said, so there's something about the briefing, that there is some sort of briefing. And I think that's really interesting.
Super simple. It's like today is the A, and you can do whatever you want in this square format that was Instagram. Right now there are other formats. Right now it's more complex because you have reels, videos, stories, and it's like, okay, where I should look at. But
I think there's also something interesting about the timings or the deadlines, which is like, you have a limited time frame to create these letters, and like if you take part in this time, you sort of have this sense of community that you spoke about, which is, nowadays on social media and on Instagram it's hard to feel that sense of community. You just feel that you're going into like a place with a lot of different people, but having that sense of community where we are all on the same train, I think that's really interesting.
I think there's that sense of community is still there. Maybe when it has grown too much, maybe it's like soften a little bit, but there's still people that participates every year, or if they don't, they try to put a letter or two, and they are like that sense of a big family making all the work together, that it's still there, and it was all done for just for fun, for passion to make letters or just to create something around the letter forms, because our people maybe their interest is not typography, but there is also an excuse to create something and to be creating something all together. And
Yeah.
I think that's maybe one part of the success, or what people finds interesting in the project.
So you're currently running the ninth edition of the program, of the program, of the project. And, from the outside, or as you just said, it looks like you just go on Instagram and you make a prompt and you say like, hey, we're starting now, and that's it. But, having started side projects myself, I know there's a lot of work happening in the background, and there's a lot of preparation. And I bet that you have a lot of, pre-production, post-production in the project. So can you tell us a little bit about that backstage? What are, when do you start preparing the project? And yeah.
Well, it depends a lot in our personal scenario, let's say, because we need at least let's say the most challenging thing is, well, first we need to choose the right dates, and we just the year after, or even when we have finished it, we look at the calendar and say, well, when we are making next edition, we look like all the holidays and the stuff, and we try to look for the also, if we have personal plans, maybe we should make it a little earlier this year, because maybe, okay, like the year we did the exhibition, it was like going to happen in May, and we said, okay, this year the edition has to be earlier, because it will be impossible to have both things at the same time. So it starts from, maybe we'll say, like when we get back to school, like September, October, November, you start thinking on these things like more seriously, and start thinking in the roster of guests, because having those 36 artists making a letter or a number for each edition is super difficult, because you are asking people to make work for free, just for fun, to show other people that it's going to participate, well, to showcase their work. It's okay, we are asking them to work for free, just for the passion of making something around typography and letters. And it's difficult, and most of the people hop on the train and get on board so easily. And that's also one thing that really surprised us, and a good way, because people from the very start on the first edition, all people was very open to collaborate and to participate, and that was super nice. And studios that we actually think like, okay, you are nuts, that's not gonna happen, and we have collaborated with some studios that we really admire, and that's another conversation, but that's another very...
That's interesting, because you have become, or 36 Days of Type has become also like a platform to showcase other artists. So I bet that also, like, artists that take part in the challenge or participate as guests, they also know that the project will give them some exposure. And I wonder what that does this bring you as a studio, because I always wonder, when I personally started a side project myself, I thought, well, that was a platform for me to kind of showcase what I could do, right? And in your case, as a design studio, how do you feel that this speaks about the work you are able to do, and which are the opportunities that came your way through running this project?
Yeah, well, actually, it was like very separate, but of the work we did, and the project itself was like a big opportunity to just, as I was talking before, to collaborate, to get in touch with a lot of studios, to get to know a lot of people, and having a lot of contact with well, with new artists, discover people. But in terms of project work, it didn't get directly new opportunities, let's say. In terms of personal growth and whatever, and the opportunity to make an exhibition, to collaborate
Yeah.
with the studios, to be responsible of a project that it's followed um, for from so many places and from so many people. That's, I think that's a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've received it a lot, and lately we have even collaborated with some brands, but we try to be very careful, and because the project was born like super free, and we didn't want to make like things that like feel like off. So we have a sponsor on the project, but it's a software to make fonts. So it's
Yeah.
not it's font self. Maybe you know the software, or maybe
Yeah.
you have even used it. But it was like the perfect match for us, because it was like, okay, with the letters you've made for 36 days of time, you can actually make a font. And
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's an interesting topic that I wanted to get into right next, which is, you've run such an amazing project that is really inspiring and motivating for a lot of people, and I'm sure that everyone that takes part is will also be happy to chime in. Now, being a project that happens also on social media is challenging to charge users or participants, right? Like there's
yeah.
hardly a way to monetize it from social media. But what are the ways in which you monetize, if you monetize 36 days of type at all? You mentioned right now
Yeah, having
partnerships, right?
partnerships. Yeah, but
Because I'm thinking of the people listening, right, and thinking like, okay, I want to start this project,
yeah,
and
maybe
I wonder if this could become
yeah,
a source of
something.
income, right?
Yeah, yeah. That maybe we are not the best to to give advice, because we haven't made any income. Well, we have made some, because we now have a sponsor, and but it's like, yeah, something like very small that happens once a year, and it's like, okay, but actually the project, to getting monetized about it, it's difficult, because a lot of people appreciate the time you take, the hours you invest in launching each edition, but yeah, ask directly for money, it's like super difficult. And talking about money, I think a lot of designers suffer in that part, the economic part, yeah, to sell your work or to monetize. And yeah, we actually, what we had the idea to have an online shop and to promote just other people's work, and maybe sell prints and make stuff with letters. But that idea, and it was like super strong at some point. And after the first exhibition we made, that we tried to sell prints in the exhibition, and it really didn't get so well, and we were like a little bit discouraged, like down about it. And yeah, it's something we have tried. We have the idea to do it, but somehow we have been stopped by maybe only by ourselves. I don't know,
Yeah.
because all the people, and why don't you monetize this project? Why don't you
Yeah.
monetize your project? You are 36 days of days a year, like all day with working, and you have a pair of months with emails and after and before, and the partners and the guests, and it's a lot of work, as
Yeah.
you were asking before. Not It's not like, okay, let's get started. And yeah, because every day you have to put a lot of hours just to check what's people making. And yeah, it's like, how do you monetize this? And it's like, I don't know, people maybe with a more commercial or monetized mind, I don't know, it could find a lot of ways to do that. Like, I don't know, maybe that's a curious thing. Like, we've been asked how much for a featured letter, and it's like, okay, this is not for sale.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, but it could be just like that, or even, or each edition select 20, 36 letters and sell a fanzine or something, or a postcard or a T-shirt. It could be done in many ways, and
Yeah.
and
You have a bunch of ideas there.
all our ideas, but we because yeah we um, well, we are only two in the project, and it's sometimes it's like, okay, we want to keep it in simple, and we don't want to become rich of it. But it will be like more sustainable to have some income, so you can put more into it. That's an idea we had in mind, and we had for years. Like, it's yeah, like, to having a sponsor is, it's okay, because you have, and you get a little income, and you can invest a little more in the project, even in terms of time. Like, okay, I get
For sure.
this from sponsor, and I could say no to other projects during these days, so I can focus a little bit more on the project. um, yeah.
Totally. And I think that also makes it sustainable because I think no one will benefit from the fact that you will at some point get burned out and think like, oh, I
Yeah.
cannot run this project
Yeah.
anymore because I don't have the resources or I don't
The
have the
time,
time
yeah, or the
or
motivation,
it's just,
whatever.
yes. So I think it's a way of, making it also sustainable
Yeah, yeah.
by itself.
We want to make it more sustainable and more profitable, not only for us, even for the others, for people taking part. And we have a lot of ideas, but somehow the life and the work and the daily survival gets in the middle.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
sure.
not
I
easy.
I think you have a great following that will be happy to help you put anything that you want to put out
Yeah,
there,
yeah, but it is
in terms of
difficult
like keeping the
because,
project alive.
yeah,
Yeah,
because if you don't have any income, you can't ask for people to work on this, because you can't pay them actually. And
for
yeah,
sure.
we ask a lot, and with no budgets and no money, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's difficult. But yeah, I will make a better website, and will make an online shop, and not only to get myself profits, because all the project is about the work of the community, of the people taking part. So it's more complex, because it's not, okay, I do my stuff and I sell it the way I like, because it's much more difficult, because you have to work with of others. You have to, yeah,
For sure.
to respect the work and to value the
There's a
work.
lot of complexity there, a lot of legal complexity there, right?
Yeah,
A
it's
lot of
much more
paperwork
difficult.
right
Yeah,
there. So
claro. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I have a question about this because I mean, if you look at the project, there's a big complexity to it. You have a lot of people joining the project on a social platform from a lot of different places in the world, from a lot of different disciplines in the world. You also have the kind of structure and organization that you carry on as a studio to to put the project out there or to make the project happen. You also have all these guests that chime in with their work or that collaborate with
Yeah.
their work, and it's a little bit of a social experiment what you're doing with 36 days of type. And I wonder, what are the things that you feel that you have learned throughout these years? It could be, you could take it anywhere. You could take it in terms of like dealing with people, or the things that work on social media, or
That's difficult. I think I don't know a clue, because sometimes, yeah, you put something and you think, okay, this is beast. This is gonna be a blast, and it doesn't. So it's very difficult to get that balance on what is going to work, or what it's not, because sometimes it's your personal taste, and
sure.
even you think that this is super well done and it has a lot of work, sometimes you put a cat and it gets more likes. So it's like
That
so
always works.
well. That's I think with you learn that somehow sometimes quality and research and craft, it's not what people appreciate. Sometimes it's the most simple, most basic gesture. It's much it gets much more appreciation, but um, and sometimes you say, oh, this is super simple, super nice, and it doesn't get that yeah, that success. So it's difficult. Yeah, you can't take nothing for granted, and more when you have to deal with algorithms and that stuff. That's also
Yeah,
a
and
challenging part.
I think that's a great message right there. For someone that has such a, you're running this project that has such a big following, and it's still you don't have the formula to what works or
No,
what doesn't work, right?
and I
And you
think
you have said that sometimes people respond to things that you wouldn't have anticipated
yeah.
that they will respond positively, or they respond negatively, or not so
Yeah, not
great as you thought they would respond to things that are, you thought they were gonna crack
yeah,
the
yeah.
internet, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, it's difficult because yeah, and I think and you discover a lot that it's not all about followers and likes and whatever, because yeah, sometimes people someone that opens an account and makes an alphabet, it's like, okay, this is marvelous, and sometimes you get the work from the top studio from in New York or from whatever, and it's not in, and people don't get that and don't get engaged as you do that, and you think, okay, I've sent 20 emails with these guys. We've been working with them to get their work on time, to make it the easier we can, and you are like super excited. You put it down there, and it's like, poof, and people doesn't respond as you expect. And I think it's important not to get like down, and not to feel like that the likes, that the engagement or the followers are everything, because that's not. You can find people that their work is absolutely amazing, and they have an amazing career, and they're actually not on social media, or they
and
are like super calm on social media and they don't need that.
and speaking about engagement, because there's, in this project, there's the engagement that people may or may not have with certain artwork, but there's also something that happens in the backstage, which is you engaging big design studios, big artists, big visual designers or artists, to create work for free. So I wonder really, how do you get to engage these people? What is the process? What is the exact wording? Give us the details.
And yeah, it's surprisingly positive, the reaction we get. Else mainly, I think, because there's a sense of community in this project, and it's like a contribution to something like bigger, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna show my work. It's not, maybe I'm not getting the I'm not getting profit, maybe I'm getting exposure, but it's not only about it. It's more like, okay, we think, and as we tell it, it's like a super long email talking about how it works, who we are. But maybe the most important part is that it's a contribution to a project that everyone participates on their own. It's a project that it's open to everyone, but we want them just to be like the first example, like to be the guests for that letter, and maybe that
Yeah.
that somehow feels nice, and it's like okay. And even we don't you are as a guest, you normally you are not able to choose what letter you have, because if we let everyone choose the letter, and no one will like to do the 9 or the E, because no one likes it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I am now I'm getting lost, because the question was
No, it's great. So the
how
question was,
you
what,
how we get
how do you get them
yeah.
engaged to do something for free?
And that's we it's like okay, we think your work is it's admirable, or it's super nice, or we think it's fresh, or we have discovered you in the first edition. But the thing is, we think that the work deserves to be there as a special part of the project, like to be well, at the end, it's only one more image inside the project, but we like to think of it like a special part, that's that guest part. But as I said, sometimes the guest is only like yeah. So the project it's more hooked into reality of graphic design, illustration, and more professional, but at the end they are all the same, because someone who shares their lettering from I don't know from somewhere, maybe it could get much more attention than a super top notch studio. That's also a nice part.
Rafa, I think your project has been really great for a lot of artists and designers that found, in a way, an excuse to produce work without the need of a client or in a specific project. And I am personally really like a huge advocate of coming up with excuses to explore your skills. I have done it in the beginning of my career. And I want to ask you, for those listening right now that are thinking, hey, I do want to start a side project to explore my skills or something, and also perhaps do something that is mine and that belongs to me, like you have 36 days of type, they might want to have something similar that is like their baby. And what would be your advice? Like, where should they start?
Hmm. I think well I'm totally agree with you that that it's super important to have your own project, not only depend on clients, because um, well sometimes personal projects bring much more than whatever client could be. But to get started in, I think just start, because it's sometimes you have a lot of fears, like okay, this is gonna be nice, people is gonna like it, and I think you have to think on those things. But I think you have to be confident of what you think and what you like to do. And if you are confident of what you're doing and what you like to share, I think it's yeah that just get start and don't overthink about it. Like just start it. It maybe not get the success or the attention, but if you are doing something you really believe in or you like to making it, it's only the fact of doing it, it's like rewarding. So I think it's like yeah, just do it, and do it oftenly if you can, because you easily get burned with clients, and even the most beautiful project could turn into a nightmare. But if you work for you and for yourself, I think that's super good, super nice,
Yeah.
and good advice is like to have your personal projects.
Yeah, and I think something also really nice from listening the story of 36 Days of Type, like going back right to the beginning of the podcast, is that, when you started, you didn't have all this structure around the project. You just started, creating letters every day. And then at some point you thought, hey, this may be an idea. And then you started creating the structure around it. And you started thinking of guests and, a website and all this stuff. But trying to think that up front before even starting, it can be overwhelming. So
Yeah, it's
don't think that this is a project that just was born this way, but it was more like a thing that developed throughout time, and kind of
totally.
found its structure and its shape as it was happening, right?
Yeah, I think you are right, because yeah, it's maybe it's not about thinking a lot if all the plans. Sometimes you have just to get started, and things get in their right position. I don't know how to say, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
something it actually hasn't changed, and it works mainly the same as the first edition, but yeah,
Yeah.
the structure and how it works, and yeah, more um, less chaotic, and yeah, but it's like something, yeah, it's has get through the years to be what it is right now.
Totally. So, Rafa, thank you so much again for being on the show today.
Yeah,
Where can
great
people
pleasure.
find you and where can people find 36 Days of Type? For sure, everywhere on Instagram,
Instagram.
you if you go on Instagram, you will see 36 Days of Type
Hopefully.
happening right now. Oh
Because
yeah,
people,
if they
there's
if
people that actually at the middle of the edition, it's like it has started. Really, I didn't notice it. I haven't seen
oh crazy.
one single letter, and it's like, okay, this Instagram thing is getting worse. But yeah,
Crazy.
you will.
Ah, okay. So they don't really showcase the project because of
Yeah,
the
because
algorithm or whatever.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
they don't like we share too much stuff, or we fall, or we grow a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we have to
That's crazy.
live with that. But yeah, it's curious, because some friends, it's like, okay, it has started, and I didn't notice, and you
Wow.
are in the letter T. I don't know. Yeah, it's.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, you can find us on Instagram mostly. 36 Days of Type, on Twitter, Facebook, blah blah blah. But yeah, the main channel is Instagram, where we share daily works that are done in the project, because one of the most important things in the world is that everyone is making things, and we only share a few in our account. We make like the curators part, like selectors of letters, and this is our daily work, like selecting some letters for our feed, and it's like super difficult because there's a lot of work, and you have to value a lot of things, but we try to be like, not only what we like, what is the best, what is most liked, but to make it interesting and diverse. So well, that's
Amazing. So we are gonna add all of these handles, Instagram handle,
yeah.
Twitter handle, on our show notes so that people can find the project.
So the
You're still,
studio, the
yeah.
studio, it's well, what we are, who we are. It's the people behind the project is 36 Studio, and that's also our home. So
Yes.
you could find out also there.
We're gonna add all of these handles to our show notes so that you can find Nina and Rafa studio, but also the project 36 Days of Type. You're still on time to take part in the project. By the
Yeah,
time this
the
this
numbers
this podcast,
are still numbers up, and yeah, as studio, as 36 Studio, we try to participate every year, only in the numbers, because we don't have time for more, and because our name and our studio is all about numbers. We think the numbers is nice, because it's also a very different approach, but it's also a white page, a blank canvas to make whatever you want. So it's also a good opportunity to hop on, or
I think
to the
that's a good
live.
idea.
Yeah.
And Rafa and Nina, thank you so much in the name of a lot of
Yeah,
artists and
and
designers and
yes,
creatives out there. Thank you
saludos
so much
from
for.
Nina also.
Ah, yes.
Well, he's gonna.
Come, Nina. You can show up for the people on YouTube so that they get to know you. Hi, Nina. So Nina is also the one of the co-founders of
Yeah,
the project,
yeah,
and she's
half
also the
half
the,
part.
the other half. Yeah, so I would say that in the name of all of creatives and other artists out there, thank you so much for running this project. I know you put a lot of effort into that, and there's a lot of great work coming out of this 36 days of type. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast
Thank you
today.
so much,
Thank
Martina.
you.
Yeah, it was
And
super nice conversation.
Yeah, I loved it, and it was great also to understand where the project is coming from and all the things that are involved in running such a huge project. So thank you so much for being on the show today, and thank you everyone for
You're
listening.
welcome.
See you on the next episode of Martina Flores Open Studio. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Martina. Bye.
So this is it. I hope you loved this episode. You can find me, the host of the show, on social networks at Martina Flor on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you have a question or comments, go to martinaflor.com/podcast, where you can see previous episodes, find show notes, and send voice memos with your comments and questions. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube. Just go to martinaflor.com/YouTube to find them. You can, of course, listen to all our episodes on your favorite podcast platform. If you loved this episode, subscribe to this podcast. And if you leave us a review, it will help others find us. Thank you all for listening, and see you in the next episode of Martina Flor's Open Studio. Bye bye.